Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and another little bit of a news update slash general Tenerife update. Now I have been away for the last couple of weeks in Florida, as many of you will know. Some of you may not. If you are new to the channel, I am Andrew and I do live here in South Tenerife. And now whilst I was away, there was, as you may have seen, some protests that went on here in Tenerife. In particular, there was one that went on Sunday 20th on Las Americas Beach in the Las Americas area. They had quite a few people turn up and do a bit of a demonstration. So I'm going to explain what that was all about, because a lot of videos and posts I've seen don't give any context as to what it was about. There is a lot of clickbait UK headlines as well, making it sound much worse than it is. I've seen a lot of fake Facebook posts as well. People jumping in on the bandwagon, trying to sort of tarnish Tenerife in a way. So I'm going to get down to sort of the facts. I'm going to be reading some bits here from the Canary Weekly as well, which I'll leave down in the description. And I'm going to give you my view on it. I've lived here for 10 years, so for what it's worth, I'll give you my opinion on it and what the sort of general feeling is now I've been back for quite a few days. So starting off with this Canary Weekly update, it does say that on Sunday, those protests have concerned quite a few business owners. The march did take place on the seafront, and although the march remained very peaceful, that's one thing to bear in mind. You'll see the videos, but they're making a bit of noise with whistles and things, but there's nothing bad happening. Nothing was damaged or anything like that. It did remain very peaceful. It did culminate in a large group going onto the beach, aiming to highlight the negative effects of mass tourism directly to holidaymakers. So they did go onto the beachfront. They sort of just stood round and people were trying to sunbathe and made a little bit of noise. I don't think it was quite as bad as it was made out to be. It was one of them where if you're one of those tourists, you'd have just sort of stood up and walked away. But I didn't see any arguments or confrontations or fights or anything like that. Of course, they've got their right to protest. And what are those protests all about? It is not to do with tourists directly, really. What their argument is that tourism needs to be handled in a better way over here, especially the mass tourism we've got ever so popular now, the Canaries, especially Tenerife. They want to see it handled a little bit differently. They want to see more restrictions on the likes of accommodation going on Airbnb. There's residential apartment complexes being rented out to holidaymakers on Airbnb. So they want to see more restrictions imposed on that, and prices of accommodation to live and various other things made a lot more fair. So their protest really, in my opinion, is more aimed at the government and at the people that can actually do things, the tourism board, rather than tourists themselves. They're not going to come over and attack you, and they don't want no tourists. What they want is more of a control on how tourism is done over here. We have seen a few changes come into effect since their last protests a few months ago, and they are starting to make a few adjustments. They're clamping down on those illegal Airbnbs as well, trying to make more accommodation for people to live in. They've agreed to build more apartments as well, residential. So there's a few changes coming in with that. But the protests, they're not anti-tourist so much. It's more to do with how tourism is handled. Of course, we rely on tourism. We live on tourism. What we did actually see over in Lanzarote is a bit of a sort of counter-protest and a counter-march where a lot of people went out and they actually did a We Love Tourist protest sort of thing. Lanzarote residents staged We Love Tourism rallies hours after the protests over here that were anti-tourism. So they did go out and demonstrate to the streets, demanding changes from the government, but also to show that they do still love tourists. We need tourists. We do love you over here. You will have a great time. I'm going to go on to that in a second, what the general feeling is over here. But yes, there has been a few rumbles. I'm getting comments. The reason I'm doing this video is I'm getting a lot of comments where people are saying, oh, are people still going, or is it still safe to come? Would you still come? Am I going to be verbally abused on the beach and things like that? We've seen a few people jumping on the bandwagon in various Facebook groups, posting up utter rubbish with no facts and no evidence behind it, that residents and locals have done things to them while they've been here and done things to their cars and stuff, which they've got no evidence to back it up, and no one believes them. It was a peaceful protest. It is now done with. Nothing has really carried on since that. They did their protest. There's no graffiti everywhere. There's no people being disturbed at the beaches. They did their peaceful protest. and then it's all sort of continued as it was. They've made their demonstration, they've made their point. I think 10,000 people turned up. Bear in mind that's 0.5% of the population over here that turned up to the protest, so bear that in mind as well. It looks like a lot of people on these videos, but in general it's 0.5% that actually joined in with the rally. What I'll do is I'll walk around, I'll show you some of the views here in Tenerife. I'll discuss the weather. I'm going to discuss the general feeling over here now, being back a few days after the protest. What does it feel like at the moment? So we have got some gorgeous views. I'm just down in Playa Paraíso, and in general the weather is very, very nice. 28 degrees in the daytime, dropping down to about 19 degrees in the evening, and the vibe in general is excellent. I've got to say, I came back a few days ago, and in general the island is buzzing. We've got the half-term holidays going on now, October half-term. All the families are arriving, the beaches are busy, the boat trips are busy, all the excursions are busy. Siam Park in particular, very busy. They've got an exciting new event coming up for Halloween. So if you're on your way over, or you're thinking of coming over, or you've seen these protests and you're a bit worried about them, honestly, do not be. If I hadn't seen the bits on the news, I wouldn't have even known. I'd have been none the wiser. I've been away, I saw it was going on in the news, I came back, and there was nothing different at all. There's no negative stuff being graffitied around or anything like that, as I've mentioned. So if you're thinking of coming over, get it booked, get yourself over here and have fun. I can refer it back to, for example, you've got protests going on in London today. Does that stop the Americans, the Chinese, people, other tourists going over to London, to the UK and having a great time? Absolutely not. So they do have a point. I see their side of it. They've got their right to protest, etc. But in terms of holidaymakers being worried to come over, cancelling their trips, the hotels have been inundated with phone calls. Is it still safe for me to come over? Absolutely. So don't get too sucked in by the big headlines in the UK. They know Tenerife is the UK #1 holiday destination, and they know it will get clicks, they know it will make them money, and they'll do all the big headlines, make it sound really, really bad. It was a protest on the beach, it was peaceful, 0.5% of the population turned up. They made their point. I see their side of it. There's two sides. Obviously, the cost of living is quite expensive over here with the mass tourism, but that is no different to what's going on in Cornwall, Bournemouth, all those places in the UK. So definitely fear not. Come and enjoy these lovely views. Come and do some excursions. Come and enjoy a holiday. You've got the jet ski safari just about to go past over there. Everyone is having a great time. So in terms of the atmosphere, it's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I hope that does put a lot of your minds at ease. Do not fear about it. They've made their point. Hopefully the government will make a few changes. And as I said, you've got a lot of residents actually who don't want to get involved in it, who are we love tourists, so stop trying to put the tourists off. We need tourists. Without you tourists coming over, none of us would have jobs or income, really. I don't know what we'd all live on. I certainly wouldn't be here if there was no tourists, and I know a lot of people wouldn't be. So definitely still get yourself booked to come over. Been here 10 years, and I honestly cannot feel any atmosphere, any changes since I've been back, other than everyone having a great time. As I said, our bar is buzzing in Los Cristianos. The cars are mad busy. Siam Park's mad busy. The vibe is actually excellent. I was worried when I came back it might be a bit iffy, but it's been awesome since I got back. So I hope that does put some of your mind at ease. So if you're thinking about it, get it booked. I did make an example. I showed my full travel day coming back over here the other day. That video was on the channel. I showed our full journey. We've got new scanners in at the airport now, which are going to be activated soon, which should speed up security over here and passport control. And I also showed on that vlog some very cheap flights out on Skyscanner for November, December, January. 50 quid return, 21 quid each way, 70 quid return. There was some very good deals on flights, so definitely have a little look at Skyscanner. Thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in seeing exactly what Tenerife is like live, we do a lot of live videos on the channel. I did a live walk around Las Americas yesterday, and we'll be doing a live tomorrow, Sunday, in the evening, walking around, and you can see for yourself live what the atmosphere is like over here. But do check out the channel, loads of excursion videos and stuff, so do check those out. Thank you very much, and stride on, do not worry, get yourself over here.